I want you to know that I just got some great news that I'm excited about. I just got a development deal picked up. It's a new reality show. It's an extreme makeover show for middle-aged lesbians called This Old Bull Dyke. We already have a sponsor. Wolverine Steel-Toed Boots has picked it up. We had another title, but the censors nixed it. It was originally going to be called Pimp My Muff. I am staying tonight or this week at the Hotel 1000. I would like to talk for just a second about their toilets. They've got the best toilets ever, man. They're amazing. You won't even believe this if you've never seen one of these things. Number one, the seat is heated. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're used to a cold toilet seat and then you sit on a warm toilet seat, it's nice. It like relaxes your bowel muscles and kind of just helps you crap, you know. It's really nice. And then on the wall, there's some buttons, and one of them says rear cleansing and one of them says front cleansing. And there's a diagram of a guy sitting on a toilet with a stream of water shooting up his ass. So I pushed the button, and all of a sudden, I'm that guy. I am sitting on the toilet with a stream of water shooting up my ass, and it's amazing how accurate this thing is. I don't know if everybody's butthole's in the exact same place, but this thing has got me dead center. Then there's another button below that button, and it says oscillate, and I said, why not? Now I have a rotating stream of water shooting up my ass, and it was at that moment that I realized that 50 million gay men can't be wrong. I'm singing songs to this toilet. I'm in love. I honestly love you. My wife caught me spreading cake on my ass just so I could go wash it off. Is that cake? No. I gotta go to the bathroom. Don't wait up. I'm going to try to tell you this story. This happened on Tuesday. I'm going home from the PetSmart in the car with 2 dogs and a wife, and my wife says I got to stop at the bank, and I say shit or whatever I said. Because I don't go in the bank. Everybody knows that. I stay in the car with the dogs, and she says I'll be, 5 minutes, but there's absolutely no such thing as 5 minutes with this woman. And she goes in, and I know the dogs need to pee. And at our bank, there's one piece of manicured lawn that has 2 signs that both say, no dogs. So I took my dogs over there. This guy comes waddling out of the bank with a big scowl on his face, and he goes, the sign says no dogs. I said, the sign's wrong. That sign should say 2 dogs. I saw a commercial the other day, and I really don't understand the organization, and I really don't understand who they think they're ever going to help. And it was for a company called www.don'tshakeababy.com. Now, I'm not going to get up here and take a big pro-baby shaking stance, so you can go ahead and relax, Seattle. But I don't know who they're supposed to help, because if you're such an inbred meth head shithook that you would consider shaking a baby, the only thing that's going to help you is a beheading. No. Now, I know there's people in the audience tonight going, but Ron, what if the baby's asking for it? Don't shake a baby. What if I can't find my car keys and I've looked everywhere? Yeah, even then. I went on to www.don'tshakeababy.com, and they have links to similar websites. They have a link to www.don'tstickyourdickinaToaster.com, and they have a link to www.don'tshoveaferretinyourass.com. And there's a lot of reasons why you don't want a ferret in your ass, because they're not like gerbils. They've got fangs and claws and a lot of shit you don't need in your ass, man. I got a ferret in my ass right now. I was at the hotel on the toilet a while ago, and he popped his head out of my butt, started washing his face in that little oscillating stream of water. Is that cake? No! Certainly not cake. I got a little trouble. Did you guys hear anything about that? I'll tell you what happened. I had 2 sold-out shows in Fort Pierce, Florida, and we were going to land in Vero Beach, Florida, and I have an airplane that you guys bought me. Thank you. It's not. It is really cool. And we land at Vero Beach, and when we land, I look out the window, and there's 3 cops standing there, and which is no big deal to me because cops love me, and so do firemen. And a lot of times I'll get a police escort from the airport to the venue, and this wasn't one of those times. I got out of the plane, and there was a cop there, and he said, "Mr. Wyatt, we've been told that there are drugs on this plane by an anonymous tip." And I said, "There are absolutely no drugs on that plane." Now, I did have a little bit of weed in my bag, but I wasn't on the plane, so technically I'm not lying to this guy. And, he goes, "Well, do you mind if we search the aircraft?" And I said, "You absolutely cannot search this aircraft unless you have probable cause, because I still have civil liberties." You know what I mean? I do. And they said, "Okay, well, we just want the drug dog to walk by it a couple times." And I said, "Fine." And the drug dog walks by a couple times, and the guy goes, "Well, the dog gave us a signal that there are drugs on the plane." And I'm like, "No, he didn't. That dog didn't do anything. I was staring straight at him. He didn't wink, blink, oof a paw. What's his signal, a blank stare? That's all he did." Because the dog says there's drugs on the plane. I'm like, "Well, I said there wasn't drugs on the plane. Who are you going to believe, me or the..." Fuck, never mind, you know? Now, I've got a show to go to. They spend an hour and a half going through this plane. An hour and a half, and I'm just sitting there going, "Oh, come on." And they get finished. Of course, there is no drugs on the plane, and I knew there wasn't. And I assume now they're going to let me go, and I'll go do my show. And I was like, "Well, that's fine, whatever." And then they go, "Well, now the dog needs to sniff that bag on your shoulder." And I was like, "Ruh-roh." They found 7/8 of a gram of marijuana in my bag. Now, when I have 7/8 of a gram of marijuana, I consider myself to be out of marijuana. That is no weed. And it's medical marijuana. It was prescribed to me by a doctor in California where I live. And I told the cop that. And he said, "Well, what did you tell a doctor to get a prescription for marijuana?" And I said, "Well, the doctor said, 'Do you have any symptoms that marijuana helps alleviate?' And I said, 'Well, I get bummed when I run out of weed.' Marijuana cures that." They handcuffed me and put me in the back of a cop car and took me to jail. Now, I'm not whining about that. I broke the law. That's fine. But fuck, this is Florida. These cops drove by 3 meth labs and a dead hooker just to get there. They processed me through county jail. Now, for whatever reason, I had a bunch of cash on me. I'd been on the road for a while. And now they got to count it in front of me. And this guy comes over and he goes, "Hey, man, I'm going to have to count that money and you're going to have to watch." And I'm like, "Fuck, not you." Fuck, no. This money's in banded $5,000 stacks. And he picks one of them up and he goes, "One Mississippi." He didn't really say Mississippi, but he fucking could have. 2 Mississippi. And I go, "You can't do it that way. It'll take forever. Just take the band off and start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you get to 50, that's 5,000. Then just start the next stack." And he goes, "That's a good idea." That's what he said. So he counts the second stack and he goes, "Hey, buddy, wait a minute. There's only 42 in this one." I said, "Oh, that's okay. Just get 8 more out of this one. Put it in this one. Now you have 2 stacks of 50. That's $10,000. I'm teaching this motherfucker how to count." I was in jail for an hour and a half, and I don't know how word gets out so fast, but when I walk out of the jail, there's a big truckload of kids, and they have these signs that say, "Free Tater." I've had the weirdest things happen lately. I just fly from LAX to Atlanta to see some lawyers and a dentist, the combination platter of wonderful days. And my plane was broken, and when my plane's broken, my friends do not give a shit. They're like, "Oh, poor baby. Is your plane broken? You have to take a commercial flight like every fucking buddy else." But it's not like it used to be, or either that or I'm losing touch, you know, because I'm standing in line, I got a first class ticket, and I get up to the front of the line, and there isn't anybody there. It's just a kiosk with a computer terminal, and I'm not good at computers, and I don't want to touch this thing because it's got grease and dirt, and what I can only pray to Jesus is meringue. But it works pretty good, you know. I swipe my card through there, and up pops a diagram of the aircraft, and it shows all the seats on the plane. And it shows which ones are occupied so you can choose your own seat. And that is almost a great idea. What would make that a great idea is if there was a photograph of the person sitting in that chair. And about a 5-minute bio clip telling you a little bit about them and what their breath smells like. Right, because I picked my seat and I'm in first class, so as soon as I walk into the cabin, I can see my chair, and sitting right next to me is a big fat fuck. Now I know I'm heavy, but I'm not a big fat fuck. This guy was a big fat fuck, and part of him is in my chair. And I don't know if it's part of him I can sit on. Hey, I've got a little tip for the morbidly obese, and I don't mean to sound cruel, but once you get to 550 pounds, stay home and go for the record. I'll sponsor you. Write tatersalad.com on your gut, and I'll send peaches over there. Peaches? Why wouldn't I send pizzas? I'll send peaches in a salad. But where would be the comedy, Mr. White? Oh, so you're all hung up about that, huh? Okay, I'm just going to try to do that line right, just in case we decide to do it that way. I'll send pizzas over there. Oh, that is funny. He said pizzas. Oh, Mr. White, boy, he's rich tonight. I get to Atlanta, and I check into the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, and the next morning I go to take a shower, and there's no hot water. And I call the front desk, and I tell the girl at the front desk, I said, "There's no hot water." And the girl at the front desk said, "Sometimes there's no hot water." Didn't I just tell you that? I said, I've stayed in $20 a night motels. The water was so hot you could cook your nuts with it. He goes, well, every once in a while, everybody will wake up at the same time, and they all take a shower at the same time, and we just run smack out of hot water. You guys didn't think about that.
Guys, but I gotta fucking work here. I'm thrilled to see you all out here this evening. I really didn't think that the audience that I kind of am lucky enough to have gathered could afford Broadway prices. It really is nice that people are actually coming out to see me now. I'm kind of, I'm amazed, and I am, and I think it's terrific. But you know, you bring your friends, and I don't really need them. You know, you and I have developed a relationship. I don't need these fucking strangers hanging around. You know, you spend, you know, for the 2 weeks before you see me, you go, oh, you got to see this guy. He's really funny. How do you think that makes me feel? That puts a lot of goddamn pressure on me. Because if I'm not funny, you're fucked. It was a really special winter, wasn't it? If you're a fucking moose. If you got fur on your nuts, it's been a fucking festival. It was the coldest winter ever. I thought last winter was the coldest winter ever. But I was fucking wrong, wasn't I? You see, because I travel all the time. So last winter, I'd be in the Midwest, and the blizzard would hit. And then I'd fly home, and the blizzard would hit again. But it has been way too cold this winter on the East Coast. I mean, it's the temperatures have been ungodly. Where the fuck is global warming when you need it? I think the people of this city should literally every day have been on the streets with aerosol cans. Nobody should have to live like this. And even if they hadn't told me, I would have known it was the coldest winter ever, because I have not had one thought. I have not been able to complete a sentence in my own head. I find myself walking around going, you know what I should really, fuck, it's cold. We don't need to live like this. I had a tremendous idea, a way to change the climate, and we had the money to do it. Just a few years ago, our country had the largest surplus ever, $2 trillion. And now, just a few years later, we have the largest deficit ever, $3.5 trillion. That means we went through $5.5 trillion in just a few years, and nobody explained where the fuck it went. If we actually went through $5.5 trillion, you know what? Each one of us should have gotten a goddamn coupon. For shoes or a coat or whatever you need. So the federal government decided the way to make this money up was to have a $350 billion tax cut, okay? And by the federal government, I mean Republicans and Democrats working together. And the only thing dumber than a Republican or a Democrat is when these pricks work together. We have a two-party system. The Democratic Party, which is a party of no ideas, and the Republican Party, which is a party of bad ideas. And the way it works is the Republican stands up in Congress and goes, "I got a really bad idea." And the Democrat says, "And I can make it shittier." These guys believe that a $350 billion tax cut will stimulate the economy. And they're full of shit. Because they don't know what stimulates the economy. The economy goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. Nobody knows why the fuck it happens. And I know this because I took economics. And I'd explain it to you, but I flunked that course. Not my fault. They taught it at 8 o'clock in the morning. And there is absolutely nothing that you can learn out of one bloodshot eye. After I flunked the first two tests, I grabbed the professor by the throat and I said, "Why are you teaching this shit at this ungodly hour? Are you trying to keep this stuff a secret?" So they come up with a $350 billion tax cut at a time in which every city and every state that I've been through is broke. Is broke. And you're going to cut taxes. They're so broke that they've actually cut essential services. In many places, they've cut policemen, because who the fuck needs them? Or firemen. Son of a bitch. It's much more fun watching something burn down. In our city, New York, they cut after-school programming. And if anybody needs to be distracted, it's those little pricks. So I said, you know, if you're going to cut after-school programming, it seems to me the least you could do is give each one of those kids a knife. And they could whittle. They could whittle. And sell their crafts at the fair. But if you're a parent, hold on to your hats. The federal government is going to give you $400 for each child you have. So if you've got 1,000 kids, you're on fucking easy street. You might want to start adopting 50 at a time. Just pick some up off the street and take them home with you. $400. That's where you go. What's the federal government thinking? I mean, what do congressmen's children eat? Mites! All $400 does is remind you how fucked you are. You'd have been better off if your congressman just came to your door and pissed on your foot. It's $1 a day. $1 a day. You know how to stretch that kind of money? Put your kid in a box and send him off to a Sally Struthers country. a dollar goes a long fucking way. And he can have all the dried milk he can choke down. And at the end of the year, you've got $35 left over. So at Christmas, you can give your kid 2 nice boxes of shit. See, what I think you logically do with instead of having a $350 billion tax cut, what you do with that money is do a public works project. See, what that is you pay a lot of people to build something, okay? And that way you employ people who are unemployed. And then they get money, and they spend it, and that stimulates the fucking economy too. So you pick a place that really needs something. You know, a state that could really use it, like Mississippi. Of course, Mississippi, because that's the place that no one has ever thought, boy, I got a vacation, I need 2 weeks in Biloxi. And you go down there and you find a place that's totally in the shitter. You won't have to go far. And what you do is build a big fucking thing. I don't care what it is, as long as it's big and it's a fucking thing. And then the economy will explode because people will say, I gotta see the big fucking thing. And then there'll be a big fucking thing restaurant, a big fucking thing hotel and casino, a big fucking thing spa. See, what I felt they should have done for our first public works project is build a giant wall across the entire border of Canada. Because that's where the cold air comes from. I got to travel a lot this year. I got to get out of the country, which was really great. And you know, it would have been nice if our president, when he was young, had some intellectual fucking curiosity, and he'd gotten out of the country too. I was shocked to discover that he never even went to Canada. How's that possible? Even drunk on a bet, you make it to Canada. I got to Italy. I'd never been there. It's extraordinary. If you've not gone, unbelievable. I didn't know this, but Jesus Christ is, whoo-hoo, he's big there. Everywhere I turn, there's Jesus, there's Jesus, there's Jesus, there's Jesus, there's Jesus. He is like the Coca-Cola of Italy. And I'm Jewish, and I have to say, after 3 weeks there, I started to think he might be the real thing. I went to New Zealand this year, and man, I know a lot of people want to go there. Let me just tell you, it's 22 hours by plane. So if you have the opportunity, don't. You don't want to be on a plane for more than 8 hours. 22 hours is like a stress test that's out of control. You're locked in there, the treadmill's going, you got wires everywhere. Where's the fucking nurse? Where's the fucking nurse? You want to know what it's like to be on a plane for 22 hours? Go home, sit in a chair, and squeeze your head as hard as you can. Don't stop. Don't fucking stop. Then take a paper bag and put it over your mouth and nose. And breathe your own air over and over, 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 over. Now, they say, that you should fly first class. Well, that doesn't fucking help. So the chair is comfortable, you're still squeezing the fuck out of your head. And if you're in coach, kill yourself. What you want to do is, when you finally have snapped, walk back to one of the bathrooms, go in, put your head in the toilet, and flush it. The suction is such that your head will be ripped right off.